scary manual. 5 speeches about conversation skills. Some of you, like Jeremy or Michelle, are masters of conversation. And I've always struggled a little bit. I'm not so good with small talk. I want to get right to the heart of the issue. I'm good-ish with people. I'm okay with speeches, especially particular types of speeches, like the rant. Most of my first speeches at Toastmasters were rants. You know what a rant is. You pick a topic that's near and dear to your heart and you speak passionately and fervently about that topic. I did subjects such as cat hair and my hatred of cats, the government spending on military, things that can offend my audience. Perhaps I should have kept those opinions to myself. I'm also quite good and adept at the roast, which is similar to a rant. You pick a person, or a person is presented to you who has a myriad series of flaws, such as receding hairline, or halitosis, or poor conversation skills, perhaps a speech impediment that you begin every sentence with "so," or the receding hairline, or any confluence of all of those things, such as my evaluator.
Witness the roast.
Conversations is not so much my strong suit. And speech number 1 in this manual is conversations speaking with ease. And I joke, I laugh at the concept of speaking with ease. Let's go through the various stages and recommendations made by the book, shall we? It first explains the value, the importance of good conversation skills. And I suddenly realized, you know what? All these years, my chronic unemployment, lack of dates, not being married is because I don't have good conversation skills. If I'd had good conversation skills, my life would be so different today. I used to think I was a decent speaker. But then I read this book and it explained the following, that a positive attitude really must start with a conversation. Well, this is mind-blowing. If I'd known this years ago, positive attitude. Nobody wants to listen to you when you start a conversation with Obamacare. Or, I got into the parking lot this morning and there were no parking spaces. They don't want to hear that. They want something positive. They want Michelle's positivity. They want you to say, isn't it great to see you this morning? We're so happy you came to Toastmasters. One of the things that the manual does not cover, which surprised me, was the value of a smile. Now this part I've mastered. A smile is incredibly comforting to your conversational partner. Assuming you have a good smile and most of your teeth. Which in Florida can be a challenge. It's important to be knowledgeable about a wide array of topics. This helps you in your conversation skills. It becomes very difficult if you have just a small repertoire of topics. Because when you go to the next conversation and you're covering the exact same topics and the person you were previously speaking to hears you covering the exact same topics, it gets around, you don't know anything. The book also explains the value in open-ended questions. Now this is something I mastered fairly early in life. I discovered in my early dating life that if you ask a girl, will you go out with me? The answer was no. However, if you left open-ended questions such as, where would you like to go tomorrow at 7 p.m.? A, B, or C are your options. Invariably, I got one of those options. It was great. So I can say that I mastered the open-ended question. The book also now explains the 4 levels that you need to achieve in conversation. The first is small talk. I hate small talk. As I said earlier, I like to go straight into the meat of a conversation, and that can be off-putting to some people because they need to build a rapport with you. So you might start with something such as the weather. Or if you're at a party and you're eating, you might talk about, "Ooh, isn't this cake delicious?" Not really what I'm interested in. But you might start the conversation with something like, "Why are you here at the party?" "I'm friends with so-and-so." "Who do you know?" Also, not so exciting. But level 2 is a little more interesting. It's fact disclosure. And you don't want to start with something like, "Congress screwed the pooch again last week," because that's not positive. "Did you know about my dog Milo? He can pick any toy I ask him to go and fetch. It's incredible. Do you have a pet?" That's an open-ended question. It's positive, it's personal, and it's fact disclosure at the same time. Perfect. You could use it right now with any of your table mates. The next level is sharing viewpoints. Now, only try this after you've achieved levels 1 and 2. You want to build some level of rapport with this person before you start sharing your viewpoints, especially if they're controversial viewpoints about Congress screwing the pooch. What do you think about X? That's an easy, right? And X could be anything. It could be the X-71 military plane, although they may not know anything about the X-71 military plane unless you happen to be at a party with your Lockheed Martin cohorts. You need to pick something open-ended that is that your counterpart has some knowledge of, possibly, hopefully. And if they don't, well, you failed miserably and you move on to the next question. You want to make the questions that you pose and the information that you share situation specific. That can be incredibly valuable. If you're at a party and there are certain people around that you might share commonalities with, work on those commonalities. Level 4 is sharing personal feelings. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to grab onto somebody like Scott and say, "Scott, my mother died last week," because that creates discomfort. And you might not want to say something as you're eating a piece of food at a party that, "I'm very concerned about the safety of our food supply." You might say something entertaining such as, "Did you know that Breyers just came out with an earwax flavored ice cream and I'm elated about it?" Okay, we've now covered the 4 levels of conversation as I understand them in my own way, and it's time to bring up my esteemed colleague, Patty. And Patty, by kismet, has agreed to join me in this conversation. We'll stand up front. How about that?
Sounds good.
We don't need a podium to get in our way. We'll reset the clock now, if you would, Carmen. Patty, how are you?
Good, thank you.
How are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, Reid.
Yeah?
How are you?
I'm good. Oh, Patty and I, by the way, are meeting at Jeremy's 80th birthday party. Next week. How do you know Jeremy?
Well, I've known Jeremy for a long time, ever since he was a very young man. I've been going to Toastmaster every week, month after month, year after year.
You're quite a talented speaker.
Yes, he's developed quite a good repertoire of fantastic speaking abilities, that's true.
Yeah, he's helped our club immensely in our strategy and how we organize ourselves. He's reformed our agenda. I found that he's just been an excellent addition to the club.
I would totally agree, and his enthusiasm is just immense. It just brings a lot to the club.
Well, now we've achieved level 1, believe it or not. On to level 2, fact disclosure, something personal. So Patricia and I are going to exchange a few personal facts. So Patricia, where do you live?
I live in Orlando,
Where exactly?
Altamont Springs.
I live in Altamont Springs as well. How convenient. What brought you to Altamont Springs?
The weather.
The weather. The weather. I like that. I like a witty person. You must be Canadian.
Yes, the wind. And also coming to Florida must have been the tip-off.
Okay, this is definitely good. This is going well. My new best friend, Patty, has achieved level 2. Congratulations, Patty. Now it's time to share some viewpoints. Patty, what do you think about the new X-71 fighter jet?
Well, if I knew anything about it, I think I'd have something to say, but to tell you the truth.
Well, what are your hobbies and interests?
My hobbies and interests. Well, I used to play tennis. Right now, I'm really partial to kayaking with gators.
Really?
Yes.
Kayaking with gators? Don't you feel that that's a little on the dangerous side?
It is at this time of the year because it's getting into mating season and they get a little more aggressive. So that my inflatable kayak.
Inflatable kayaks. Okay. What did Consumer Reports say about your inflatable kayak?
They said it was
and
a
its
very
gator resistance.
They said it was a very good purchase because it can go through down level 3 rapids. Now they did not test it against the 2,000-pound gator, but then again, canoes and kayaks can't withstand that pressure either. So I tell my friends, I do have dual seating in the kayak. Anybody who wants to come with me, that it's as safe as a canoe or kayak.
Oh, very good.
Now, we haven't achieved level 3 yet. We've been exchanging information, and she's just done a wonderful job of sharing with us and entertaining us. In order to converse on a level where we exchange viewpoints, I'm going to ask Patty a question about how do you feel about Florida Wildlife Management's perspective on gator management?
Well, I think they've done a very good job because in 1965, the gators were on the verge of extinction. However, now we have 3 million gators living in the state of Florida. So many gators that some of them actually visit Walmart at night
And in my normal capacity in a conversation, I would often make some comment about Walmart clientele. Now it's time to move on to personal feelings. Yes, we're definitely getting close to running out of time, but that's okay. We're going to move along into personal feelings. Patty, why don't you ask me something to generate personal feelings?
Generate personal feelings. Well, there's nothing like politics to get the blood rushing.
That is true.
So, Reid, what do you feel about Obamacare?
There you go.
You know, this is a conversation topic that is best left for another venue, really. We could upset, there could be a food fight involved, all kinds of things could go wrong. However, I feel that we have done a good job, our administration has done a good job of approaching an issue that is extremely complicated, that has been left untouched for decades, and the world is passing us by in this area. I think it's a first step is better than no step. We've done it. We've achieved all of the levels of conversation. I think that we've imparted to you some useful information about having a conversation. And we want to leave you with this information and hope that you practice it today through the course of your day. Thank you so much for your time.